I think for me, it was a very messy experience, moving from the child service I was under to the adult service I was under. And we were hit with a lot of barriers along the way, which put me in very vulnerable situations where I felt very out of control and I didn't feel very well looked after at times. And I think it was very stressful. I think in the children's team, there was a lot more of a holistic approach, but also there was the constant sort of, right, your parents are in charge, took away responsibility from you, put a bit more pressure on you to do things. And I think I had this massive difference and gap between children's services, the voluntary sector, and adult services, which was it felt like complete polar opposites in all of them. So in the children's, it was very supported. They knew what an awful time it was, but there was quite a lot of threat behind what they were saying in a really quite good way, because it did make you, get your act together and think, right, we need to be pragmatic and this is how we're going to work through it. And it was very clear. Like, I had goals each week and it was very much tailored towards that. And I think as well, they built up this image of, you don't want to go to adult services. It's really scary. You don't want to end up here, But then at the same time, they wouldn't broach the subject of transition at all. Because, I don't know, it just didn't get mentioned to me. It's kind of like my last appointment. You're 16 now. We're going to discharge you. You don't meet this criteria. But we've arranged for you to go to this other sector, which is a voluntary sector. And that just all felt a bit like, whoa, hang on a second. I'm no different to how I was last week. And then this voluntary sector I just thought I was fine and I didn't need to go. And my mum was scared for her life. She was like, what do we do? This is not good at all. So I put off this appointment for like a month or two, and got to this voluntary sector. And the first appointment, I sat there and I didn't say a thing. And the woman went to me, well, if you don't want to talk to me, you don't have to. And the obvious answer to that was like, right, okay, I'll be on my way. I'll leave. My mum was like in tears. Oh my goodness, this is not the way forward. This is going to go. And it went bad really, really, really quick. And then I ended up back in the children's hospital. Actually, and my team refused to see me. Not great, because my person that I think the other thing is, building up such a strong, trusted relationship with someone takes so much time. And I hated this woman at the start. I was like, what are you doing to me? This is awful. But by the end of it, she was my best friend. Like, that, she was the person that I went to if ever I had a problem. I told her about anything. And she would be on the ward, seeing other patients, and wasn't allowed to speak to me because I was 16. And I thought, I saw you 3 months ago. You were my key worker. I saw you every week. You rang me up. You were a big part of our family. And all of a sudden, we're like completely distant because there's this stupid arbitrary barrier of the number and the age 16 that's in between us. And it just really wasn't a nice feeling. But having said that, I think now I'm so ready to have appointments on my own, and I'm an 18-year-old and I actually like going without my mum. I feel like I don't rely on her as much as I definitely used to. But I think there just needs to be this awareness that not every 16 to 18-year-old is the same or is in the same position. Like, I know for a fact at times in that time period that I've been so different in terms of capacity and being able to talk for myself and all these things. I'm so different to what my friends were like at that point. I wasn't going to parties. I wasn't socializing because I was ill and I was missing out on a lot of teenage life. And I think there was just this assumption that once you are 16, you are the same as every other 16-year-old. And I don't think that assumption should be made. And it should be a bespoke approach for professionals to take, that actually looking at an individual circumstance is really, really important. And taking all that into consideration, and then thinking, right, maybe she needs a bit longer in children's services, and then we'll do a slow transition, I think is the main word, to adult services, to bridge this gap until I felt ready. So actually, instead of getting plunged into adult services, if it's been a nice slow move, and then now I'm feeling ready, and like I want to, take on this adult world by myself, I'm at that position now, but I think there's been a lot of trauma involved in the middle bit, which is really unnecessary. And it upsets me to think that other